Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to In the Office with Scott and Wallace. I'm Robert Scott.
Clint Wallace.
We're here with you every Tuesday at 2 p.m. It's back to school across the board. I know, Clint, you and I have small kids, and they started school this week, and it's been an extra level of chaos in our household.
Right.
And we're running around like crazy here. Hence, we're not at 2 p.m. We're a little late, 2:35. But
you're right.
But we're here, and if you've been on the roads or out and about in your community here in Tallahassee or wherever you may be watching this, you've probably seen more congestion on the roads. The Targets and Walmarts of the world are packed with people getting back and buying school supplies and all that.
I read about the big bus issue they had with the public schools, which seemed like a headache. But
Hopefully they'll get that worked out. I know Superintendent Hannah's working hard on that.
Does a good job.
And that'll get all fixed. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting to get back to school, but at the same time, there is another level of chaos, as I said, and we wanted to talk a little bit, I think, today, Clint, about what that may mean for you as you continue your everyday life on the roads.
Yeah, sure. And this week was for high school, middle school, elementary school kids. Next week we add the 70 to 80,000 students that come to TCC, to FAM, and to FSU. And so,
right.
Yeah.
And it's no secret. I mean, when the students, you add, it's not to condemn students, but when you add that many more drivers on the roads, the risk of accidents increase. It's just the nature of it. The more cars you have on the roads, naturally, the more accidents you're likely to have. Sure. And so when we introduce that level of population, that type of population increase in our community, especially here in Tallahassee, where, as you just said, we've got all these universities and students returning, the risk of being in an accident, automobile accident, goes up.
Sure.
So with that in mind, why don't you talk a little bit about, let's talk about it on both sides.
Sure.
What can parents do to help protect their kids who are student drivers, and then what can they do to protect all of us? What can we do to protect ourselves in the event that we're injured and maybe there's a student driver involved?
We get calls from college students all the time that are here. Either they live here, they come from another town, and they're here in school. And lots of times they call and say, "I was in an accident. I don't have insurance. Is there anything I can do?" Or, "I have very minimal insurance. Is there anything I can do?" Typically, college kids, they're not going to have very much money. They don't have jobs, or at least they have part-time jobs, and so their policies are going to be minimal. Or
they're living off ramen noodles.
Exactly, they're non-existent.
Yeah.
And so, what a lot of people don't realize is that typically the college student is going to be covered by their parents' policy, even though their parents may live in a totally different town or a totally different state. In insurance contracts, the language that's important is somebody a resident relative. So obviously, you're a relative of your parent. The question is whether you're a resident, and Florida law is pretty favorable that if you're a college student, not only are you a resident of your dorm or your apartment wherever you live, but you also maintain residency at your parents' house.
And what are some key factors? Like, there's actually case law here, so what are some key
We've
factors?
We've litigated this several times.
What are some things that like a court would look to in deciding whether or not a student is a resident relative of his or her parents?
Well, lots of times it turns on the access to the house. Like, if you go home for Christmas or Thanksgiving, do you have the ability to go to your parents' house? Do you have a key to that house? Do you still have a room there? Do you have things like a driver's license with an address there?
Receive mail.
Receive mail. Things like that show that you're a resident of that household. And sometimes we get it where there's a college student who has divorced parents, and then typically they're going to qualify under both their parents' policies for their uninsured coverage.
Right. And it's twofold. One, if you have a student driver that causes an accident, you want to make sure that you're not jeopardizing their financial future by them being exposed to like a judgment for injuring someone, and it's their fault.
Right.
Similarly, as what you were just describing, if you have a student driver who's hurt and the other driver was uninsured or underinsured, you want to make sure they're listed on that policy so that they can qualify for what we call the uninsured motorist benefits, which is what Clint's been talking about. So that individual, that student, could be compensated for any physical injuries that result from being in an accident with an uninsured or underinsured driver.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So it's the facts of life. When you're dealing with students, especially university students, they're not going to probably have large insurance policies unless maybe they have a parent that has a policy that's bigger. And so with that in mind, if you live in a community that has a university or college, and you're going, there's going to be this expectant or this population increase, you really want to take another good look at your automobile policy.
Sure.
And make sure that you have uninsured motorist coverage.
And then if you have college kids, that you put their
Yeah.
names on as enlisted insured under your policy.
Right. So I hope that makes sense. We're excited that all these students are returning. It's an exciting time in Tallahassee, where Clint and I both live. Although we practice it, we talk about it all the time in 3 different states, and maintain offices in both Florida and Georgia. But it's an exciting time of year.
Almost football season.
Almost football season. Everybody's getting ready for that. If you have any questions about anything regarding what we've talked about today or anything else, just please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Sure. And every month or so we have people we always offer, if you have questions about your insurance policy, any kind of insurance, but especially your car insurance, and you want to say what coverage should I have or what could I not have to pay for, just call us and let us know what you have, or send us a copy of an email, a picture of it, and we'll take a look at it and let you know what we think you should add.
Exactly.
So,
all right.
Awesome. You have no questions, but this has been one of your most viewed segments so far.
Okay.
So it must be like the time frame of the day. I don't know if kids are back in school so people are able to watch, but
okay.
there's that.
Okay.
Well, everybody should get back to doing their homework. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to everybody's watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Thanks.
Bye.